and we were sitting at the table having a meal. And a young lady who was a care worker, we began to talk about mental health, and she said, well, I work in mental health and I know what to do. So I thought to myself, okay, let me just step out of this conversation. She proceeded to tell everybody what to do. Dr. Maliki then said, well, I think that it was very gracious about it. She said to him, no, I work in the field, so I know. And she berated him, and I just sat down there, and God bless the man, he didn't say anything. I got to the point, I said to myself, no, this cannot continue. I said to her, this is where I'm calling him doctor, this is Professor Maliki. He's a consultant psychiatrist at St. George's Hospital. He runs the department there. Obviously, she had to leave to go to another appointment at that time. But the point I'm making, I never make assumptions that people in the room don't know more than me. And that's why I say contributions, clarifications, and even extension of thought. I might have said something that you're an expert in that field. I didn't come here as an expert, I told you I came as an opinion from experience. So I'm happy to hear from the floor in terms of challenging, critiquing, developing, because then I leave better. And next time I go into an organization, I can charge them a few more pounds based on your value. No, it's really about that story of humility. I realize there might be some of you that have more expertise than me. I was listening to Sir speak this morning, and just a couple of words he said, nobody had to tell me there's one or two more facts in his head. but when I came in, he was as humble as pie. You wouldn't have thought he knew anything. That's what we want, to use those insights for the benefit. So please, I'm happy to hear questions, clarifications, extension of thought, and so on, just so that we get something out of this together. So just for my sake, just say who you are, what capacity you're currently serving, just so that I've got a context of people in the room where you fit in, and then we'll try and get some answers between us in the room if we need them. Please don't be shy. Please.
Yeah, Christina Omide from Kenai Church in London, and one of the Covenant churches. I mean, everything that Rev David has said, to be quite honest, I've been writing, and I just find it very, very, I don't even know, I'm lost for words. But just to say, what I want to say is only a contribution. What you said about briefing, the importance of briefing, I'm able to identify with that. As a barrister, you know, we always say, because you get your brief from solicitors, and we have this saying that you are as good as your brief, i.e. the instructions you are given. You can't prepare without instructions. You can't prepare without knowing the background story or what you're supposed to be doing. So sometimes people say, oh no, my barrister let me down, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. It's because you don't get a good brief. When you get a good brief, it just makes it easier, because then what you have to apply is your expertise, but you can't apply your expertise in vacuum. So I find it very, very, I agree with what you have said. I find it very, very important that even in ministry, yes, people know, but at the same time, we need that clarity to the people that are working with us. And especially when we have a vision, when we have a program, we have a project, it's good for people who are working with us, if they are to produce results, to actually have a good brief. So thank you for that.
Thank you, appreciate it. Anybody else? Thoughts, contribution, clarification, extension of thought?
Well, what struck me and what I actually agreed with so much is the very basis of your 354 model. That it doesn't matter how hard you try, if you don't get the emotions, thoughts, and experiences, if you don't grasp that, you'll be making assumptions about people, and you'll be driving them in, and then you wonder why it brings no result. What I wanted to ask is, when you were investigating that within the organization, do you actually do it on a one-to-one basis? Because you can imagine that there are some cultures that do not allow people or do not really support people in saying what they actually feel or think about something. So how would you go about it?
We use all sorts of ways. Sometimes we get people to feedback, papers and so on, sometimes, but I must say, me personally, I always try to, I don't want to use the word insist, but I always push the group towards open discussion like this, and for people to have that conversation, because there's something, I'm not introducing a new model, but it's what, and I'll send it to you. There's something called the Cartman drama triangle. It's a fantastic piece, very simple thing. It says that some people are victims, some people are perpetrators, and some people are rescuers. And that's based on your inner thoughts, emotions, and experiences. So what I tend to find is that actually, someone may have an experience that they haven't articulated, and because they haven't articulated it, nobody knows, for example, that the reason why, I'll give you a practical example. So I was in a room like this, and a lady, someone gave a seminar, we was doing it together, my friend gave a seminar, then after he finished the seminar, he was answering questions, and he was talking about being friendly. The Bible says if you're friendly, you will have friends. So one lady said, well, so what about if you just don't want to be friendly in that way? And it wasn't a question, it was an attack. And so I said to him, do you mind if I ask a question? And he said no. And I said to the lady, are you happy to be open so that we can all go on a journey? She said yeah. And I said to her, who's keeping you quiet? And she started. I said, do you want to go with this? She said yeah. Who's keeping? And then what we found out with the lady is that she's one of the most powerful people in this country. I mean, one of the most powerful. She has the power to bring Parliament, not to a standstill, but if they decide to work together, they can stop Parliament based on the kind of power she's got. So she's a powerful person, but yet she felt quiet until we began to dig down on the emotions and the thoughts and the experiences. And what we realized is that in a particular context, she had assumed the role of victim, even though from the outside she looked like somebody that can be a perpetrator. And until we brought that out into the open to help the rest of the room understand that actually she's dealing with some deep vulnerabilities that emerge from experiences that are outside of this room, that made her respond in that way, that changed the culture of the room. So people didn't want to talk after she made a contribution. And they were nervous, but I mean, I'm used to it. And I've been in psychotherapy for 5 years, so I'm used to raw emotions. Somebody's keeping you quiet. They said, thank you very much, you made me think about this. So I always go for the major group thing. And I say to people, share as much as you feel able to. And what I find, even in cultures that are resistant to it, the more you share the thoughts and emotions, you have to model it first as the leader or the facilitator. So I share my drama. People then begin to add to it. Because part of the problem is, remember I talked about contested space and Genesis and John 4. The problem is everyone is hiding their emotions, hiding their thoughts, scared to talk about their experiences, but it's present in the room and it's affecting the way we shape our conversations. So the moment someone says, actually, this is who I am and what I feel, everyone else feels that they're able to join in. So I do it in groups mainly, but often I do it on one-on-one, and sometimes I say to people, just share some of the thoughts, let's collect in the paper, and let's have a conversation and make a contribution to it. And you don't have to identify yourself, but we just try to make sure that we do it. And I always try to do it generically, but some circumstances means that you can't. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think we'll hear from Rev David later. I think that